We all know that Donald Trump promised to bring down the egg prices, the housing prices, the energy prices, and instead we are seeing a market that could be heading towards a recession, all because Donald Trump introduced all of this chaos and uncertainty into our markets. I mean, this is just completely contrary to all of the promises that he made to get himself reelected. And now the people all across the country are starting to wake up and realize that, hey, this isn't what I voted for. You promised my life was going to get a little bit easier, a little bit better. And instead, I logged into Edward Jones the other day and my retirement account is down $100K. This isn't what I signed up for. And because Republicans don't want to confront reality on reality's terms, and because they don't want to go confront their voters and listen to them, they are instead tucking their tails between their legs and taking off. They're canceling town halls. They're blaming all of the outrage on paid protesters. I mean, here's Mike Johnson pretty much saying that all of these town halls have been ambushed by George Soros-backed funding, okay? If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
But with regard to the town halls, look, I mean, we have Republicans who want to go out and be among their constituents and hear their concerns and dialogue with them. It's a big part of the job. But the problem is they're being ambushed right now by what are some, in many cases, paid protesters. You got George Soros-funded groups. They're very well organized. That's one thing Democrats do very well, is this organization, right? And they go an hour or two early before the event. They fill all the seats. And so the actual constituents of these Republican members can't actually make it into the arenas. And so it's not a productive dialogue at all. They're just walking into an ambush. So we've encouraged our members to think thoughtfully about that.
What a smarmy little punk. Oh, the Democrats, they're really, really good at organizing. Ha ha ha! George Soros. Buzzwords. I mean, this is a tried and true tactic from the Republicans. They don't want to confront reality on reality's terms. They want to believe that there is no way Daddy Trump could be disliked, so they'll go ahead and blame it on George Soros and paid protesters. Instead of showing up and listening to the concerns of their voters, they blame it on somebody else. That way they don't have to take any accountability for what is currently going on in our economy. And let's not forget, Donald Trump inherited a remarkable economy. That's not what I said. That is what the Wall Street Journal said. I think it was The Economist that said our economy was the envy of the world when Trump came into office. And because we have all of these self-inflicted wounds that Donald Trump gave us, our future is looking a little bit uncertain at the moment. Now, I'm not saying we are 100% sure heading towards a recession, but it is very likely if this administration doesn't pull its head out. So instead of trying to address the problem, instead of trying to confront the reality, instead of actually pushing back against Donald Trump and what he is doing to our economy, Republicans instead have decided that they're just going to go ahead and lecture you. They are going to preach to you. We know what is best for you. That is the tactic that they are employing. Here's Scott Bessent saying, well, we are in an adjustment period.
And could we be seeing that this economy that we inherited starting to roll a bit? Sure. And look, there's going to be a natural adjustment as we move away from public spending to private spending. The market and the economy have just become hooked. We've become addicted to this government spending, and there's going to be a detox period. There's going to be a detox period.
I think that temporary pain that you've acknowledged, that the president has acknowledged, I think the question becomes, is temporary pain the new transitory inflation? How do you know that we get to the other side of this, and how long do you think it actually takes?
Well, look, there's an adjustment. We'll see whether there's pain.
This is the new lie they are telling. They are trying to condition their voters to think that, oh, well, we've just been hooked on government spending for so long. Of course there's going to be a detox period. Of course there's going to be a little pain, but it's for your own good. That is what they want you to believe. They are full of shit. Our markets are complex. Our government is intertwined with the public sector. That is how the economy works. That is how it has worked for generations. When Biden decides that he wants to pass the Chips and the Science Act, who do you think gets that money? It is the private companies, because that is how our form of capitalism works. We have public-private partnerships, and because governments can incentivize industry to lean in a certain direction, we can go ahead and pass bills to that effect, and then it is the private companies that carry it out. That is how the economy is supposed to function. That is how it is functioning. But because these people know that it is very likely that you might feel some economic pain and turmoil because of Donald Trump's actions, they are trying to sell you a complete different story. Do not believe them. Here's Kevin Cramer talking about how everybody's just living large on the government, guys.
But you also have to be willing to make some cuts. But if you require work for benefits, you really have created some cuts because you've made people more self-reliant and less needy on, for the kind of largesse that they've just come to expect. And it's not good for them. It's not good for their own psychology or psychiatry, and it's not good for the country.
Yeah, the United States of America. We are very known for our robust social safety net. Yeah, that's something America is really known for. People are just driving around in Bentleys and Land Rovers while mooching off the government. Again, this is another lie, and any of you that have interacted with any of the social safety net programs, you know that it is difficult as hell to partake in those programs because Republicans have made it harder and harder and harder for the neediest among us to use these programs. But people like Kevin Cramer want you to believe that everybody's just living large off the government. Of course, we're going to need to transition. Or like Laura Ingraham would say, we are transitioning, and it's going to be good for you.
So what we're living through now is a transition, and this one's good for us. For decades, ours has been an economy driven by government stimulus, a lot of printing and borrowing of money, government spending, government giveaways. And Trump knows our survival, though, requires a return to an economy by private sector productivity, the way it used to be. That's why the playing field in global trade has got to be leveled.
Again, this is just a load of shit. Our economy is functioning how it is supposed to function. These people want you to believe that there's just been so much spending by the government, and that is the only way that we've been getting by, and that's the only way that Biden had a pretty robust economy, but Donald Trump is breaking it right now, but it has to be done, and it's going to be at your expense. These people are just gross. And then you got Kevin Cramer saying that, yeah, this is what people signed up for. This is really what people signed up for? Is that right?
Donald Trump, while he gave that honest answer, remember what he said. To me, that key word in that was transition. This is a transition. And by the way, as awful as the last 2 years were and the last 4 years were, these are really decades of problems that have stacked up that one president has come along and said, we've got to right this ship. We cannot continue to do what generations of presidents and Congresses have done. And it's going to take some dramatic action, and it's what the American people signed up for, to your point, David. That's why they voted for him. And second of all, he's doing exactly what he said he'd do, and they're still for him. The polling even yet today still supports Donald Trump. And maybe on Wall Street they're a little uptight for now. But on Main Street, they're pretty pumped.
These guys live in a fantasy land. Donald Trump's approval rating is falling off of a cliff right now. Elon Musk's approval rating is falling off of a cliff right now. The idea of cutting government waste, fraud, and abuse does poll very popularly, but what Doge is doing is not that, and they are very, very unpopular. Nobody signed up to have thousands upon thousands of federal workers just fired. Nobody signed up for government funding to just be shut off, even if it was already approved by the Congress. Nobody signed up for that. And now you've got people, veterans included, that are losing their livelihoods because Elon Musk and his band of muskrats are running around Washington, D.C., and they are setting our federal government on fire. That is why we are seeing people come to these town halls. They're showing up to express their discontent. People are pissed off. But because these Republicans they just don't want to live in reality. They do not want to believe that Donald Trump could be unpopular. They do not want to believe that Donald Trump maybe isn't as good at this economy thing as they have claimed him to be. That's why we're getting all of these different stories. We're in a transition period, a detox. It's going to be good for you. But let's not forget, folks, it is you and I that will suffer the pain of this quote-unquote detox, while these wealthy assholes will sit by and laugh at you. That is what is going on here. These people aren't going to be impacted if inflation starts to go crazy again. These people aren't going to be impacted by all of these federal jobs being cut. I mean, give me a break. Here's Mike Johnson talking about how this is a necessary shakeup, y'all.
Now he's got to reshake and shape things because it's in a real mess. The last 4 years was a disaster in economic policy and every other measurement of public policy. So what President Trump is doing, I think of it sort of like when you're playing billiards and you're playing pool, right? You go on the table and the balls are racked, right? And you hit it as hard as you can. This is many people's strategy in the game. You hit it as hard as you can to break up the balls on the table and send them spread. Then you play the strategy of sinking them in the holes, right? That's what we're doing right now. It is a shakeup. And he said, there's going to be a shakeup right now, but this is what's required, in my mind, to start the process of repairing and restoring the American economy. I believe that the strategy is going to work. I believe that sometimes when you shake up, that it's a violent thing on the table, right? In the game metaphor, but it always works out well in the end. And I think you've got to give him time. He's been in office for just over 50 days. This is the 51st day in office.
Just because you make up some billiards metaphor to explain your administration's shittiness doesn't make it any better, Mike Johnson. The economy, when Trump came into office, was doing pretty good. That doesn't mean it was perfect. That doesn't mean that everybody was happy with the economy. But by all of the economic indicators that we normally use to measure our economy, things were looking pretty damn good. Wages were rising faster than inflation. I think Joe Biden is the only modern president to oversee job growth in every single month that he was in office. The economy was doing pretty good. And because Donald Trump came into office and is throwing, little temper tantrums in the Oval Office, on again, off again trade war crap, the markets do not like it. You're shutting off all of this federal spending that has already been allocated, and now all of that money is not going to be pouring or flowing through the economy. Now you're going to see small businesses start to shutter because all of these people have been fired, all of this money has been stopped, and now nobody has that money to go visit the local bookstore, the local coffee shop. That is how all of this works. They are lying to your face instead of listening to you. Here's Donald Trump saying, it's a transition, but sorry, had to be done.
But why should we subsidize another country for $200 billion? It costs us $200 billion a year. And again, we don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We have more than they do. We don't need anything. We don't need their cars. I'd much rather make the cars here. And there's not a thing that we need. Now, there'll be a little disruption, but it won't be very long. But they need us. We really don't need them. And we have to do this. I'm sorry. We have to do this, yes.
Again, they are trying to tell you what is best for you and your family. The last I checked, we live in a representative democracy. Our elected officials are supposed to be governing based on what you want, what I want. They're supposed to represent their constituents. But instead, the Republicans have gone the complete other way, and they've decided they're just going to lecture to the voters. They're going to go ahead and tell them what is best for them. And then they're going to come up with all these crafty little stories. We're in a transition. We're in a detox. It's going to be best for you. While you and your family suffer. And then Donald Trump and his overly corrupt administration, they won't be impacted at all. So do not let these people lie to you. The economy was doing pretty damn good before he came into office. And because he has no idea about what he's doing. He has no idea how tariffs work. He has no idea how geopolitical things work, how different trade relationships work, and how America used to sit on top of the global order and used to benefit from all of these things all across the globe. Because Donald Trump doesn't understand any of it, he's trying to sell you a story that these countries are taking advantage of us, and this is what had to be done, and you will feel the pain so Donald Trump can get his ego stroked. That is what's going on here. So do not let them continue to lie to you. You need to vote every single Republican out of office. They do not know how to govern, and now they are running away from their voters because they are too scared to face the music. I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I very much appreciate that. We've got to build something here on the left that can push back against this right-wing media ecosystem and all of this brain rot that exists in the MAGA movement. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to subscribe. It is free. And if you guys want to see just another dose of corruption coming out of this Trump White House, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. It is absolutely disgusting. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.